During the meeting of the UN Security Council on Yemen, Martin Griffiths, the UN Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, said that more than 650 civilian casualties were reported in January, by far highest toll in at least 3 years. Meanwhile, he warned against the dwindling funding for the humanitarian aid in the country. More is in the following report.
Yemenis could face greater cuts in humanitarian aid in the coming months as a result of budget shortfalls, which could slash food ratios in a country where millions are starving, according to the UN's humanitarian chief. Martin Griffiths informed the United Nations Security Council that roughly two-thirds of major UN aid programs had already been scaled back or closed by the end of January.
By far the biggest challenge for aid agencies right now is funding. The humanitarian operation, a lifeline for millions of people across Yemen for these many years, is about to start doing a lot less. Aid agencies are quickly running out of money, forcing them to slash life-saving programs. And by the end of January, nearly two-thirds of major UN aid programs had already scaled back or closed altogether.
According to UN data, only 58% of the required funding for the United Nations 2021 Humanitarian Response Plan were received from contributors. Conflicting demands on donors as well as concerns about assistance sabotage in Yemen. The nearly 7-year war between Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels and the Saudi-led coalition, as well as the following economic collapse, has left 80% of the country's population in need of assistance. Since January, the World Food Programme has lowered ratios for 8 million of the 13 million people it feeds each month, and Griffiths says ratios may be cut even more in March, if not completely terminated.
In December, the World Food Programme, reduced food rations for 8 million people. And starting next month, those 8 million people may get no food at all, or just a reduced ration. In March, we may also have to cancel most UN humanitarian flights in Yemen, which would cause enormous problems for the aid operation.
Efforts to reach an agreement on a ceasefire have deteriorated as the warring parties intensify military operations and refuse to compromise. The only way out of the people's suffering and to end the war in Yemen is by ending the war.